Larry Ellison bought his wife, Bryce Underwood, as a present. Who would you buy if money was no object for your college football team? Campus2Canton is live right now. It's Felix Sharpe with a very uncomfortable Austin Nace and Matt Bruening for Campus2Canton.com. I hope you like what we're doing. You know what? If anybody can do it, I can do it. Okay. If you're for Campus2Canton.com, I hope you like what we're doing to push college fantasy football, specifically the Campus2Canton format that encompasses both college and NFL players. This story, gentlemen, has reverberated around the country in the last couple of hours about Bryce Underwood and how he flipped from LSU to Michigan. If you haven't heard, the story is that Larry Ellison, which it sounds like he's the second richest man in the world. I've never heard of this person. Fifth. Austin's saying the fifth richest man in the world.
Austin would know.
I'm number 2.
I was going to say Austin's either 3 or 6.
Right, he's one of his boys.
Yeah, he's right in there. Yeah.
He's the CEO or the founder of Oracle. I haven't looked at what Oracle actually does, but his wife is a Michigan alum, and she got on the phone with Dave Portnoy, and basically the wife told Larry Ellison, who didn't even go to Michigan, went to Illinois, that she wanted to bring Bryce Underwood to Ann Arbor. He puts $10.5 million on the table. There are some other deals and other things that are in this package. It sounds like it's between 12 and 15 million. I think that's the number that we said last week, that's what it probably was. I don't know. What do you guys? Oracle's a big tech company.
That's why Felix has never heard of
economics.
Yeah.
Listen, are they in the NASDAQ 100? If they are, I've invested in them.
Do you guys know why we were 42 minutes late starting the show? Because Felix couldn't figure out how to get into Discord.
Yeah.
We had to sit here and watch him share his screen as he figured out what an authenticator app is, how to do two-factor authentication, how to log into Discord. He's like, I can't figure out why my Discord won't work. There's a huge thing on it that says you aren't signed up for two-factor authentication.
It never did. I've been in Discord for how many years? It never said that before.
That started like 6 months ago, man.
Yeah,
so...
it did start about 6 months ago.
Well, anyway. Do you guys have an initial reaction to Larry Ellison basically just saying, you know what, I'm the man. I can double, triple, quadruple LSU's offer. Here we go, Bryce Underwood. I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. That's what he did. Any reaction to that, Matt?
No, I mean, good for Michigan, good for Bryce Underwood. I mean, hey, this is what the game is at the moment until whether it's the NCAA, I know they've tried to get, the Congress involved, whatever it is, until there's any kind of like stipulations or anything put in place, you could say it's quote unquote the wild, wild west. So no, if someone wants to come in here and pay a player $20 million, by all means, do what you want to do. It's your money. I have no issue with it whatsoever. Good on Bryce Underwood for getting the bag. I mean, not only is he taking care of his family and his kids are going to be taken care of. Like I've got no issue with it whatsoever. Good on them. And, I know someone posted something to the effect afterwards, and I agree with them. Like, if this is what Michigan is going to do over the next couple of years with the NIL game, they're going to be right back at the top of the sport within a year. So, more power to them.
Why does everyone immediately go to regulation? Like, what are you all so afraid of? Just let the free market be free. Austin, are you going to be advocating for regulation also? Oh, we can't let billionaires do this.
I'm advocating for Illinois. How did they get screwed in this? This dude went to Illinois and he gives all his money to his wife's school. I mean, my wife and I went to the same school, but I would not do that for her.
Some people do whatever their wives ask them to. Happy wife, happy life. So it's said. But I wasn't advocating for regulation. I'm saying this is likely going to keep happening until something like that happens, and there's nothing wrong with that. Do what you want. It's your money. If I could pay $20 million to get Sam Levitt to come be the quarterback of Ohio State, I'd do it in a heartbeat, but Austin won't loan me the money, so it's kind of screwed.
Larry Ellison is 80 years old. His wife looks to be at least 40 years younger than him. I have a hard time believing she's even 40. She looked like she might be 30-something, about my age. You know what? Hey,
more power.
If you got it. I was trying to think what school if this became a trend, and I think remember like 3 years ago, we said once you're able to pay players will in college will make more money than if they made the jump to the NFL. And I heard the number that Bryce Underwood is scheduled to make more next year than Breece Hall and Nick Chubb or something like that. That number didn't sound accurate, but supposedly that's it. Is there a school that you think stands to gain if you can just buy players? Because I tell you who, this is what I would want to see. If Larry Ellison could get Bryce Underwood to Michigan, could some billionaire, could Mark Zuckerberg get the next quarterback to Harvard or Yale? Harvard or Yale?
Well, how much would you have to give a guy to do that, knowing that you like the NFL is you're not gonna, there's no chance for you to get drafted like highly there, right? That first contract isn't gonna be very good.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, let's be honest. Like, let's just use Bryce Underwood as the example. If Bryce Underwood went to Harvard, would you still think he's not going to get drafted?
If you're an NFL GM, because they do think this way, are you running to grab a guy that took 2 or 3 steps down to make extra money? Like they're not going to be lining up to take that guy.
If Harvard goes undefeated, are they still not making the college football plailets at some point or anything?
No, they don't.
Like that?
They don't do playoffs. The Ivy League does not participate in the playoff. No
part, but I mean,
then what about Northwestern, Stanford?
No, that's what I was about to say. Do you know who actually has one of the? Because I'm looking.
Stanford. It's got to be Stanford. Stanford's got to be up there. Michigan, Northwestern.
There's another school that is number 4 that I'm actually surprised has, according to this article, has one of the highest or the richest alumni base.
Cal would be up there.
USC is at 4.
You guys are going in the completely wrong direction for this because none of the alums from those schools give a shit about football.
I mean, that's probably fair.
So it's a non-starter. Nobody cares. It's going to be Oregon, A&M. Well, it's interesting because people always bring up Arkansas in these discussions, but the Waltons and Jerry Jones, they don't care about Arkansas football. Like they don't put the money into the program. So like you actually have to care and or like have your 50-year-old younger like wife withhold whatever from you until you buy her a quarterback like that. You're not just going to get these people that are like all of a sudden you want to just give these guys a bunch of money. I don't think that's going to happen because we've talked about this. There's no return on investment. It's just fun money, right? I mean, what are you getting? What is Larry Ellison is not making money back on this.
No. But if Larry Ellison, so I mean, Michigan actually probably stands to gain a lot. The business school is named after the Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross. I don't know how much Stephen Ross cares about the football team, but that dude is, I mean, he's.
I mean, he's got his own football team. He's probably worried about. So
that's true. Yeah, that's true. Okay, guys, if money was no object, who would you bring to your team? Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, 3 wide receivers, tight end. I think everybody's going to have one of the same running backs, 2 of the same wide receivers, and I think the same quarterback, but I'm not sure. Austin, you're shaking your head. So who would you go with?
I'm a Pitt fan. I would probably go get Eli Holstein a quarterback. I'd go get Desmond Reed a running back. Give me Kanata Mumfield. Because I don't have to pay them a lot to stay there.
That's probably fair, actually.
So you proposed this question to us, a few hours ago, and we had time to think about it, and I didn't think about it. So I honestly,
I didn't either.
Think, if you're just going to go buy players, like I think it stands to buy. Like I would be fine buying John Mateer as opposed to Bryce Underwood or something. Like he's a really good college quarterback. Like I'd be fine just going and getting those guys and spending a little bit less and having my.
No, I'm not surprised that Austin made this not fun. Just go ahead and just took the fun right out of the question.
They're making too damn much anyway. These kids.
If I had to go, so just one quarterback. I'm paying one quarterback.
Oh, I wanted Austin to give me his team.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I seriously, I would go find a really fun offensive coordinator and bring in a guy like John Mateer who could run it and run for 150 yards a game and pass for 350. Like it doesn't have to be a guy that's going to go first overall in the NFL draft. That's probably who I'd go get. Then I would get some, I'd load up at receiver That's what I would do. I try to get Cam
You'd
Coleman.
have to tell us who.
Moore.
You'd have to tell us you got to tell us a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end. You got to give us the whole team. I'm not playing by the rules.
I think a more interesting question would be, what's the worst players that you could go buy and still compete for a national championship? I think that would be a more fun question. So I refuse to answer until we pivot to my question.
I mean, that's one too. Matt, we might have to throw around teams here.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out who some of the wide receivers are that I would want, and mixing in certain. I mean, I really don't care about the tight end, so I guess I'll pull. Let's go. I mean, my quarterback. I'd be curious to hear who your quarterback is, Felix. I don't think we would have the same one. I'd probably go DJ Lagway. That's who I would go get. I think Lagway, a couple years, I could get him at, the Ohio State University. I think he would do fine there. Running backs, I thought I want to go with an older guy that I think could lead the room this year and then maybe go transition to a younger guy after that. So I went with Justice Haynes and Caden Durham. Justice Haynes for 1 year, Caden Durham maybe only 1 year after that, but those two guys kind of run in my backfield. Wide receivers right now, I have Jeremiah Smith and Jordan Tyson. A little bit of kind of Austin's thinking on that, going and getting a guy I know is going to cost me a ton of money, but I don't think Jordan Tyson would cost me a ton, but I think could complement Jeremiah Smith a little bit. I don't know what wide receiver I'd get to play in the slot, though. That's kind of maybe I'll just pull an Austin Nace. I'll just take Brandon Ennis because he's already there and he ain't going to cost me nothing. Here's $10,000, kid. Go get him. Yeah. Tate sucks. Sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I actually was going to respond to you guys in a text message. I asked somebody about that, your guys' question on campus life, so listen to it today. We'll talk all this show. Tight end, though, I really don't know. There's not a guy that, I'm really in love. Maybe
Sway Harold Phantom for a year.
See, I thought about that, but I thought maybe Luke Reynolds might not actually be a bad thing. I don't know that he would cost that much, and he's been good for Penn State this year, right? So get him in there. I mean, I guess I'll go with Luke Reynolds. Why not? I don't really care at tight end.
Okay,
because I'm not going to use the tight end in the Ohio State offense. So
this is how you guys play the game. Quarterback, Lenore Sellers, of course. Running back, Justice Haynes. Running back, Braylon Russell from Arkansas. You can do whatever you want to do at the running back position with those two. Let me start with the tight end. The tight end position, I'm taking Trey'Dez Green. LSU's Trey'Dez Green, because once I get to the red zone, I want to be able to throw to whoever I want to. Wide receiver, you guys, this was an easy one, layup. You take Jeremiah Smith, you take Ryan Williams. I don't know who my third wide receiver would be. That's the tough one.
Well, I could have just said who the top player in my rankings was at every position, if that's what we're doing.
You know what? I might put. So it is a question. So if you had to pick a slot wide receiver, you could pick. Matthew Golden. You could pick Trey Wilson. You could pick the Barney kid from Nebraska, who reminds me a lot of Zay Flowers freshman year. That's my team. That's my team.
I'm trying to think who I would put in the slot, just going through my rankings.
Yeah, it's hard to find a traditional. I mean, your boy Micah Hudson, can he play the slot?
Maybe. I mean, Jeremy Bernard. Well, I'd get Bryant Wesco to play the slot.
Okay,
I think he can be a slot guy.
Okay.
Does it have to be a high end guy?
No, it's just I guess it's it's a list of my guys. I guess if you could.
Well, no, there's two guys that I would probably go with, although one of them I would have for a lot longer, and this guy I've actually mentioned a while back that people should go pick up. But the other guy I might go Monterey Baldwin with that speed and throw him in the slot. I don't know that I would. He's played a lot for Baylor in the slot this year, but the guy I would actually go get is TJ Pride. I've mentioned him before. Yeah, exactly. Someone Felix has no idea about. He plays for New Mexico State. He's actually been fairly good for them as a true freshman. I believe he's played mainly in the slot for them. He's probably, I think, been one of their better wide receivers this year.
You would go get TJ Pride, 5'9", 170 TJ Pride. He has 28 receptions for 293 yards.
That's right.
Felix about to have this guy ranked wide receiver 13 tomorrow.
Nah, he'll do it. He'll do it 30 because he doesn't trust my analysis as much. He'll be 30, but.
All right, hey, if you want to play the game along with us, go ahead and build your team. We posted something at the Campus to Canton Twitter page, Instagram, about if you had $15 million, how would you build your team? And there are 5 times 5, 25 players listed there.
Well, so, why don't we do it? I mean, if you could have put it up on the screen so that we could have done it ourselves.
I can still do that. I can still do that. Here, let's put it.
I have a person I would like to nominate as my slot receiver.
Yeah, go ahead.
Draylon Miller. I would take Draylon Miller as my slot. I get him for at least 2 more years.
Austin talking good about Colorado. What's going on?
I have always talked good about the wide receiver room there. Always.
Yeah, that's very fair. Are you going to throw the graphic up on the screen?
Yes, I have to put it on the creative.
Trying to make sure he doesn't accidentally share something else like he also did before the show. What he was trying to show us in front of his Discord.
Creating this, yeah.
Can you guys see what's wrong with this? Felix, that's Google.
Yeah. As we're sitting there, it's like we're gonna start the show at 7. He's like, give me 3 minutes. 42 minutes later. So that's exactly why we were late to the show today.
And I don't know if people who are not longtime listeners remember or not, but back at the beginning of the show, we talked about this quite honestly. Felix, the technology and Felix are not good friends.
Not the best of friends.
These are lies. All right, I'm going to put it on the screen. Here we go.
Well, I was
putting it on the screen. Austin, yes.
Oh, God.
Austin is
what are you doing? The production of this company.
This is like ESPN. So you have a $15 million budget, and I love that, Austin. You can't see Austin. Here are the $5 million players. Running back, you got to pick one of each column. You got to pick a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, flex, tight end. Here are the $5 million tier: Lenore Sellers, Nate Frazier, Jeremiah Smith, TJ Moore, Mason Taylor. The $4 million tier: DJ Lagway, Caden Durham, Ryan Williams, CJ Baxter, Luke Haas. The $3 million tier: Arch Manning, Justice Haynes, Cam Coleman, Quentin Joyner, RJ Maryland. The $2 million tier: Drew Aller, Darius Taylor, Trey Wilson, Denzel Boston, Max Clark. In the $1 million tier: Dylan Royola, Isaac Brown, Jordan Tyson, Micah Hughes, Oscar Delp. It's better as a visual, so you got to actually go see it either on Instagram or the YouTube page or whatever. All right, Matt, you got a squad here that you're picking.
I'm working on it right now. I assume you have the squad that you would go for. I just looked at the graphic. I had not had a chance to look at it, so I thought we were going to do it on the show. So
everybody knows my answer here because I'm 100% building around Lenore Sellers, and Jordan Tyson at $1 million is a real value. He could lead the country in receiving next year. So I think that's a value here. I'm taking Justice Haynes because that's my guy, and I'm taking Justice Haynes so he can finally get the backfield to himself. And then TJ Moore. I really love TJ Moore. I've always liked TJ Moore. Had him ranked really highly. And then it doesn't really matter at the tight end position. So give me Oscar Delp. There we go.
Yeah, tight end's where you save money on this, right? So here I'll take. I
feel like I saved a lot of money, but
so I'll go DJ Lagway. So that's 4.
Yeah, that's why
I'll take Darius Taylor, who's 2. So that's 6 total. I'll take Jeremiah Smith. So that's 5. So that's 11. Then I'll take Denzel Boston, who's 2. So that's 13. And then I'll take Max Clark, who's 15. That gets me to 15.
That's a good CFF team too.
So I went with
DJ Lagway, but
I went with Lagway as well. I thought about going Sellers, but I feel like I can get a little bit more value with going Lagway at 4. Delp as my tight end, just a cheap option. Then I went 2 running backs, 2 receivers. I went with Taylor Tatum and Mekhi Hughes, which is 3 altogether. I think that'd be a pretty good backfield. And I went Jordan Tyson and Jeremiah Smith.
Taylor Tatum's not on those. What are you doing, Matt? Taylor Tatum's not even on the.
Oh, sorry, Darius Taylor. Whatever, Darius.
Oh, Darius Taylor.
I saw the Taylor. Okay. My bad. Darius Taylor.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Same difference. Whatever. I just wanted 2 running backs. So Taylor and Hughes, but gets me Jeremiah Smith and Jordan Tyson as my wide receiver core. Good to go.
Well, go have fun with us at Campus2Canton on Twitter or X and let us know who you would pick. Like the video. Let's get this video to 20 likes.
I shortchanged myself $1 million too. Look at that. I saved myself $1 million for
Austin's
for
the only one that actually
candidate.
used the whole 15. Yeah. You don't need to do it again, Matthew. That's all.
No, I wasn't going to. It's too complicated.
Let's like the video. Let's get this to 25 likes. Subscribe to the channel at Campus2Canton.com. We're so close. Hey, we're very close to 4,000 subscribers. We're going to get to 4,000 by the end of December, by December 31st. Hit that subscribe button. Help us grow college fantasy football. This year, folks, guys, gentlemen, Matthew, Austin.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Bo Nix. We don't normally talk about the NFL here, but Bo Nix is a rookie. And he is, I don't have his fantasy numbers in front of us, but he's got 2,500 yards passing. He's got 16 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He also has 300 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. He's a quarterback one. I mean, Campus2Canton League's got an NFL side. We were ice cold on Bo Nix. He's there with Sean Payton with Denver. Austin, is there anything that you would take away, anything that you could learn from, Bo Nix having the season that he's having, or we just missed one?
It's tough because in regular dynasty leagues, I think I have just reserved myself or resorted to in the 2 or 3 I have left, I'll just take the quarterbacks who get drafted in the first round when they fall in rookie drafts. And I have a league this year where I have a couple where I took JJ McCarthy in the early second round. I have 1 or 2 where I took Bo Nix or something like that because they were falling. But in a C2C league, I don't know that at any point in the past year and a half, Bo Nix would have been a sharp buy. I just don't know that was the case. I mean, I guess if you could have gotten him and pitched it, and I actually did do this, I believe in the Debbie Debate Listener League, I believe I bought him last year, and I didn't, pitch this to them, but my thought was I'm buying a CFF quarterback for the rest of the year because I needed a college quarterback, and I paid that price more or less. I wasn't buying him with the intention of thinking that, he's going to go in the first round of the NFL draft and he's going to look pretty solid as a rookie. So I don't know that there's really anything to learn there. I mean, he was terrible for multiple years, and then he was, analytically unimpressive, really, outside of being efficient, which was kind of just how that offense works there at Oregon. I don't know if there's anything to learn there. I really don't. Just a guy that maybe we missed on. And for the record, I'm still a little on. I'm not sure if he's actually good yet or not. So.
Yeah, I agree with Austin. I mean, if you did make the trade for him a year and a half ago, it was 100% because of what he did the year before in the Oregon offense. And so you were just hoping to maybe make that run on the CFF side of things, maybe getting a guy people thought would be cheaper than getting a guy that we thought had NFL future. Because we all probably thought Bo Nix was going to get drafted. Nobody thought he was going to get drafted 12 overall, but we thought he was going to get drafted. So you paid less for him than you would have a Jayden Daniels or who else came out? Caleb Williams. You had to pay a premium to get those guys because of what they could bring you on the college side, and then what we expected going into the NFL, where we didn't feel that way with Nick. So I mean, realistically, you probably very much lucked out into that when you did not have to pay as much. But yeah, I kind of agree with Austin. I don't know that anything he showed us outside of breaking records that we thought he was really going to be an NFL guy. It's just I think it's hard to make that backyard.
That's what I'm saying, though.
Stuff work
is we didn't see him as an NFL player. We saw him as a college only player. We saw him in the line of Chris Leak, Tim Tebow, Eric Crouch. No, I'm saying in that spectrum of player. We didn't think nobody thought that he was going to be a first or even second round draft.
We thought he was a third round guy.
I thought he would go day 2. Yeah, just not first round. I thought he would go day 2.
So, okay. Does it at all? I mean, we talked about this before, but I feel like Bo Nix should change people's perspective of Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers, 4-year starter, unspectacular. I don't think we think he's going to be a first round guy, but I mean, if he does get the first round draft capital, you should, in traditional dynasty leagues, pull the trigger on him in the 5 to 8 range, somewhere around there. No?
I think that's the nicest thing you've ever said about Quinn Ewers.
It is the nicest thing I've ever said about Quinn
What
Ewers,
a wonderful holiday Thanksgiving.
But you see what I'm getting at here, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm looking at my list here.
I mean, we talked about quarterbacks and being freshmen and starting. I mean, technically, Quinn Ewers does not check that box for the record, because he did spend a year at Ohio State before he went to Texas. But I mean, if that's if
whoa, hold up. He had 2 handoffs as a true freshman at Ohio State. Boom. Felix wins again. I got you, buddy. I got you. Yes, he did. He had 2 handoffs at Ohio State.
I don't think that's what we said about in that show. Is that they said they played significantly.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't significant, but they had some. But he saw the field. He touched grass in his freshman year, so I'm just gonna roll with it. But continue, Austin. Sorry.
I don't know. I think just sometimes you have to be okay just being wrong on a guy like that. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't keep me up at night. It would keep me up at night if I hated Jayden Daniels. I can't imagine having done that.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
Which, for the record, pre-show, Felix tried to say that none of us liked Jayden Daniels, and nobody was acquiring Jayden Daniels.
I don't remember Austin pounding the table
before the Heisman vote. Like right around this time last year, I sent out a tweet that said, like, okay, now that I've acquired over 50% Jayden Daniels, Jayden Daniels might be quarterback 1 in this class because of how much his rushing upside in the NFL. There's a tweet out there that says it. And I did do that. I went out and acquired a lot of him.
In fairness to Felix on that, a year ago they did the 2 authentication thing, the 2-factor authentication on Twitter. So he probably wasn't on Twitter at that time, so he missed a tweet. So he's searching it right now.
I don't remember this. I don't remember this because I kind of remember you guys' takes. I remember you guys' takes on, Damian Martinez, Ashton Genty, Roma Dunze, Jalen McMillan. I don't remember this take on.
And it's really so. After his freshman year, I really liked Jayden Daniels. I had him ranked real high, and I have a good friend that actually I worked with, that I went to school with, and worked with my first job with him, and we played in like a couple leagues together. Still, I play in a Devy league with him, and you can like renounce your rights to Devy players and get like a bonus pick at the end of the Devy picks back.
Yep.
And going into his senior year, he had drafted Jayden Daniels as a freshman, held him that whole time. It was the biggest Jayden Daniel guy I knew, and then he cut him. And then Jayden Daniels wanted to be really good, and we still joke about it. So it's like just over and over to this day that he did that. But yeah, I mean, I do like him. He didn't grow at all at Arizona State, but I think that kind of shows that, and maybe Bo Nix shows this too, where where you land can be just as important as how talented you are. Which I think is kind of the discussion that there's going to be centered around Bryce Underwood for the rest of this offseason. I mean, I don't think we love that spot for him. So there's discussion to be had.
But in sticking with that discussion really quick, is Underwood talented enough that doesn't matter? Because I feel like you could not, early on in Daniel's career, and I think even Nick's, you could have said that they didn't have the talent that Underwood at least appears to have coming in as a freshman going into Michigan.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the other side of that argument, right? What did we have? I'm trying to think what we had. So we have started doing all of our grading out for next year's freshman class, and we have Bryce Underwood at almost a 0.9 out of 1.0 being the highest.
Yeah,
I don't think we've had anybody close to that.
No,
since we started doing this. So we do have him substantially higher than we've ever had anybody else, and we do. Quarterbacks get a little bit of like a gross up essentially adjustment on their grades, but he's good.
Yeah, I mean if anybody just boosts their grade at anybody, because that grade that for instance my grade that I have of Underwood is only based on junior and then the first part of his senior season. I haven't had a chance to go back and rewatch him, so there's a chance that boost up before the guide because of just going in and maybe adjusting a few things, in which case, if any of us go in and adjust anything on that, it'll boost him up, or at least positively. But the 4 grades that we have in for him right now are all fairly highly ranked. And I have him currently graded as the highest quarterback I've graded since we've done this. So
same. Yep.
All right. Should we talk about the playoff rankings? I mean, those were just released today. Actually in the last 30 45 minutes or so. The rankings are as follows: Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, Miami, Georgia, Tennessee, SMU. No, that's got a hold on. Indy, that's the old one. Okay, here we go. Oregon, Texas, Miami, Boise State, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, Georgia. Where's 9?
Tennessee, SMU, Indiana, Arizona State. That's the 12 bracket. You were reading it correctly the first way. That's how they're ranked. That's the bracket. That's the 12-team bracket that you just read.
Okay. The bye weeks would go to Boise State, Oregon, and Miami. If the playoff were started today, the first round would be Arizona State at Ohio State, Tennessee at Georgia, Indiana at Penn State, and SMU at Notre Dame.
They wouldn't actually let that happen if that was the last set of rankings, right?
No, I don't think Tennessee, Georgia. They would move Tennessee down a spot or something, so it wouldn't be Tennessee versus Georgia. You'd probably get SMU versus Georgia would be my guess, but yeah.
And I don't think they would want Indiana Penn State either. I know they haven't played this season, but I'm not I think they're going to fudge rankings where appropriate to avoid interconference matchups in round 1.
I guess to make that better than the best thing, what they would probably do is Indiana would jump SMU and Tennessee would just fall down to avoid all that. So then you would get Indiana, Georgia, Tennessee, Penn State.
Poor Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana would get destroyed. So that would put what? SMU. Oh, wait. SMU would still get Notre Dame. Could SMU upset Notre Dame?
Yeah, I think they could. I don't think they would, but I think it would be possible. Yeah.
You know, it would be even more interesting because I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. And it's just me and Austin on the show. That would still play out in a way of, based on the way the matchups go, we assume Ohio State beats Arizona State. In that matchup, it would be Ohio State going to the Smurf turf to play Boise State at home for a home playoff game.
Would Boise State have a chance in that one?
Ohio State's been run on. Ashton Janty, Heisman season coming. Beats Ohio State.
Yeah,
I don't think they would beat them, but
the line would be like Ohio State by 7, right?
No, I think Ohio State would be like 14, I think. I think Ohio State would be heavily favored. I think it would be a closer. I don't think Boise State would beat them more than likely, but I think it would be a closer game than what people would project.
I think it would be on either side of 10. It would either be 9.5 or 10.5 if I had to guess. I wonder. I wish Mox was on because he could tell us.
Yeah, Mox would just nail it. Yeah,
would make it.
He would just nail it right off the bat. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's the playoff matchup. Matthew, since Austin already said it, but we can exclude him here. Do you want to say what you're thankful for since we're here recording early in advance of the holiday?
Yeah, I'm just thankful for you guys. You know, it's been a beautiful year. Oh man, we don't have any
sad
music. I should have queued up some or I go back to that YouTube video, pull up In the Eyes of the Angel like Felix did, talking about I can't remember what he was talking about. No,
Journey Brown. Yeah, that was like one of our first couple of episodes. Yeah.
No, I mean, just you know, what Austin and Colin said. But if you guys didn't listen to Campus Life, just obviously everything and everyone that supported us over these past couple of years. It's been a big year for us. We appreciate everybody who's been there. We appreciate all the love we get on the podcast feed, YouTube, on the articles, Twitter, everything, and then obviously everybody who works here too. I mean, the amount of work that some of the people put in behind the scenes here, and they don't get enough credit. And, you know, some of them aren't even going to listen to the show, so they won't even know that I'm saying this. But I, you know, love and appreciate everything you guys do for us as a company and everything. And, yeah, I'm just very thankful for everybody in that circle. That includes everybody who supports us and everybody who works here at Campus2Canton.
No, that's a very heartfelt answer. Let me give like a practical answer here. I'm thankful for the college football video game this year. I'm thankful for Underdog because we're having our best year ever. And I think the momentum of college football really got a boost between those two things this year. First, the college football video game being released, and then a couple of weeks later, Underdog releasing its first tournament, everyone being excited about that. I think in next year, I'm guessing that we're going the college football video game is going to be released again. Austin, you mentioned that. And then 2, we're going to see expanded best ball tournaments for Underdog. And I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, FanDuel, DraftKings, all of them got involved in some way also. So that's what I'm thankful for. It's the growth of college fantasy football. It's coming. It's been like a slow trickle. It's a slow trickle, but you look back, you know, from 3 years to today, that slow trickle has turned into a bucket of water. And so we're doing really well, and hopefully it'll be a pool one day to keep using water analogies.
I agree, Luke. I thought that's where that was going to.
I don't want to say somebody. Luke, who has been like one of the longtime listeners, I don't even know how he stumbled upon us to start when we had like 3 people in the show at any given time. But he says here the committee has made it near impossible for 2 G5 teams to get in, and Luke does the G5 Hive as well.
Yeah.
So if Tulane wins against Memphis in the AAC championship game, should they make it? Tulane has 2 losses, right?
They do.
They should not even sniff the playoff then. I'm sorry. You can't lose those low end games and still make it in.
They didn't lose low end games though. Both of Memphis' losses were to P4 schools.
Tulane's?
I'm sorry, Tulane. Yeah, I think Tulane's was, because there's a lot of talk about how Tulane should not have scheduled the schools that they scheduled this year. But they did it. They did it before they knew the playoff expansion was coming. The only way I think Tulane would get in is if we see, because clearly I think the committee probably doesn't respect Indiana as much, and the fact that they just kind of gotten blown out by Ohio State. If they lose another game, I can see maybe them falling out. But that's the only one. Maybe if SMU loses, because it wouldn't be to one of the top. If they lose this weekend, because I think if they lose in the ACC championship, it won't matter. So I think you would need Indiana to lose another game for Tulane to possibly get in.
The thing that I'm going to hate about this as we're going to go through the next few years is like good losses, if you don't have any good wins, should not exist.
That's fair.
And Tulane has no good wins. Their wins this year, Louisiana, South Florida, UAB, Rice, North Texas, Charlotte, Temple, and Navy. There is not a single good win on that list. Memphis is not the Memphis we thought they were. If they beat them this weekend, I would not consider that a good win. I mean, you can't pat them on the back because they lost by a touchdown to Kansas State or by 2 touchdowns to Oklahoma and say like, that's just so. At some level, that's so patronizing. Like, you guys did so much better than we thought you would, but you didn't win. I think it's really hard to build a resume off of only good losses, and their resume would have no good wins, which I think is the point that people have been making about Indiana. They have no good wins.
Yeah, what's their best win? Michigan.
I mean, it's like, do you value a 5-point win against Michigan more than the 50-point pantsing of Nebraska or something like how do you value those? Comparatively speaking, I don't know.
I don't really want to go down this route, but I would assume it's Michigan because that's really what's holding Texas up outside of them, only having the one loss in the SEC because they haven't played anybody in the SEC outside of Georgia.
Texas ragdolled Michigan. That game was over at the end of the first quarter.
They did.
The score is not indicative of how bad that game got. If Texas had wanted to score 50, I think they could have.
But here's the thing. Let's just be honest. So Michigan's not what we thought Michigan was to start the season. So you have to adjust your expectations to that, in my opinion.
Sure. But I'm saying in Indiana barely scraped it out against them.
Yeah. Which is fair. Yeah. I actually don't think at the end of the day, Luke, this is going to matter. I do think at some point we get a G5 playoff. Whether it's next year or the year after, I think they will just create their own things. It's going to make so much money for them because people will watch. And so I think that would be the best thing for them. It's been something we've said for years that if they went to an expanded playoff in the P4, that the G5 should do the same thing. Sure, you might miss out on the quote-unquote best G5 team because they may go into the 12-team playoff or whatever if it expands, but I think you would make so much money if you get a Memphis-Tulane game on like a Wednesday night for a quote-unquote playoff game. Same thing if they stick with the same parameters. So I think it's coming for them at some point.
Would good players play in that? Like if you're Ashton Genty and that, would you play?
Absolutely
in that?
Not.
No, you
absolutely not. No.
So I think any of those like secondary tournaments, it's just.
But there's few and far between those players. Ashton Genty, Jake Hainer.
I mean, if you're getting a Senior Bowl invite or even like a Shrine Bowl invite, why would you play in that?
I think
it's the same way. It's the same way in the non-playoff bowl games.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a lot cooler to say like, in non-bowl games. Yeah, I was gonna say it's a lot cooler to say like I won the national championship versus like I won the Kitty Cup tournament.
Right.
I don't know what they're gonna call it.
Okay, but see, you say that, but like there are a lot of teams that take, for instance, the NIT as a big deal in college basketball, and we don't see players. Now, again, granted, much different sport, less chance of serious injury playing basketball, but like. I think at some point, because this is probably a horrible analogy, but like the separation of church and state kind of thing, like I think the G5 and P4 are going to become so separated that it's going to matter winning the G5 championship. I do think that will matter. So again, I don't know that the Ashton Jantes of the world will play in that, because I think he's a little bit different. But if we're talking about a guy who maybe is looked at as like a day 3 guy, he might play in that, because if he takes, oh God, who's the quarterback? I cannot think of right now. Michael Pratt. Let's just say this a couple years ago, and G5 was doing this, and Michael Pratt led Tulane to like a G5 championship, played really well against, arguably the best G5 competition. Could that have boosted his draft stock anymore? I don't know. That's something we won't know until it actually happens, if it happens. So I think some players will opt out, but I don't think it'll be as many as you think.
I'd also like to assert that a lot of people do not take the NIT seriously.
The people playing in it too. I'm not saying the people watching it.
Decade, we've had like North Texas, Penn State, George Washington, Stanford, like not serious basketball schools win.
Let's take a farther back look at this. There's 80 teams in the tournament. I don't think it's that many. I think it's 70. You're kind of scraping the barrel to get teams in the NIT at that point anyways. It's a little bit different here. As far as I know, college football is not going to go to a 40-team playoff. Even if they expand to 16, and there's still only one G5 team getting in, you still have a lot of good teams at fairly reasonable competition, which is what I think will make those games so good, because you will have teams like Tulane and Memphis are comparable competition. It's not Tulane going up against Georgia. It's a game that will actually be a game worth watching. Sure, the football may not be great as watching Georgia versus Bama, but it will still be a competitive game.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, so what?
But I'm not gonna, delude myself into saying like this is, great stuff. I don't know. I'll watch Akron and Kent State or whatever. Like I'm a sicko. Like I'll just watch whatever you put in front of me. But
so are a lot of people. There's a lot of people who just want more football, and so let's just be honest, with the casual, if there's quote unquote stakes on the line, they're going to watch it and be more interested in it. And that's the whole point of it. I'm not saying it's great football. It's not going to be Ohio State, Georgia from a couple years ago, or Washington, Michigan last year, or even Washington, Texas in that bowl game a couple of years ago, or last year in the playoff game. I'm not saying it's going to be football good like that, but it's still going to be fun to watch. And the casual fans are like, oh, it's a playoff matchup. I didn't know Memphis and Tulane are good. And I don't care. Just come on in. The water's fine. Just come in and watch some football. That's all I care about.
I don't know how competitive this episode was, to be quite frank.
We tried toward the end. Me and Austin were carrying this thing for the past 20 minutes.
We always tail off towards Thanksgiving. You can count on us tailing off. Apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. You ran out of time. We'll get him rescheduled soon. For the uncomfortable Austin Nace, equally uncomfortable Matt Bruening, I'm Felix Sharpe. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Good night and good luck.